GWAR, Carnival of Chaos, and We Kill Everything. Basically the same era of GWAR, so we're going to discuss both of them in the same video. Between the years 1997 and 1998, GWAR was having some terrible, turbulent times. As detailed in the book Let There Be GWAR, they already had the success that they wanted and basically went most of the places that they wanted to go. Throw drug use and lineup changes and personal problems into the mix, and you have a recipe for disaster. Ironically, GWAR was at the height of their popularity during this era. They even had an appearance on Jerry Springer. Regardless, with all of these troubles plaguing them, they kind of lacked a sense of direction. And one of the albums that would appear out of this monstrosity of an era was called Carnival of Chaos. It's their most diverse album, but it's also their longest album. It featured the metal, rock, punk, jazz, and even country sides of GWAR. GWAR was already cheesy and cartoony, but it's obvious that they made this a main focus for the album. And you can notice the upped comedy factor easily with stupid songs such as I Suck on My Thumb and Sex Cow. Basically, the shock factor of This Toilet Earth and the previous albums were lessened because the comedic side was way more tongue-in-cheek this time around. But it's also because generally the songs are more upbeat and often they're slower. I mean, there are fast songs up here such as I Hate Love songs, but for the most part, the tempos are slower and the lengths are longer. It seems like there are more punk-based riffs, making it sound similar to a Graves-era Misfits album. But there are ballads up here too, such as Sammy, which is ironically written about Sammy Davis Jr. What this has to do with GWAR, I don't know. But let me tell you how disappointing this ballad is. I had a lot of energy build up for the first 3 songs on the album, and then Sammy comes on, and all the energy that I had built up from those 3 songs, gone. It's so slow and lifeless that it ruins the pacing and it ruins the build-up for me. And I'll tell you why. It's too slow, it's too long, and it just came on way too early in the album. Had they made this song like the 15th song on the album, and not so early in the album, I would probably still have that energy. You know, it's all a matter of building up. The song Endless Apocalypse has the same problem. It's too slow, it's too long, and it's too early in the album. And there aren't any fast moments before this to make it a dynamic change. It's just one slow song after another. Endless Apocalypse comes after Sammy. It leaves me feeling bored. On their own, these 2 songs sound fine, but when listening to it as an album, GWAR sounds bored out of their minds doing these songs. Of course, you also have great songs up here, such as The Private Pain of Techno Destructo. Yep, Techno gets another song. I love it. It's catchy, it's angry, and it's powerful. You also have the song Interfere, which, again, sounds kind of like a Graves-era Misfits song. I really love the way it sounds. Actually, the mid-tempo pacing of this song actually works to its benefit. You can definitely tell this song was made in the 90s. Also have other great songs, such as First Rule Is and my favorite, I Hate Love songs. Beefcake the Mighty slays on this. But this album is also notorious for having a good bit of filler, such as the song Sex Cow. It starts off as a country song, and it's actually really funny. It's about bestiality. It's a good song when you occasionally want to listen to it, when you want to get a laugh out of them, but it's not something that you pay attention to the same way you would with Private Pain. Then there's also the song Gonna Kill You, which sounds like something the guy from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 would sing when he's drunk.
I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna cut you up. I'm gonna kill you.
Clean that trap out, Brad. It's clean good. Oh, you motherfucker. Don't tell me what I should do.
Also, at the end of the album, Sly Menstra finally gets a song for herself. Don't Need a Man. It's a jazz song, and actually, it sounds really good. But I think the only reason they put it up here was just so that way they could have more songs on the album. And then there's a really horrible song called Letters from the Scallop Boat. It's not even accidentally funny. What were they thinking? Now, something I have to address, the production is really good. It's powerful, and you can hear everything. You can hear the bass, you can hear the guitar, you can hear the drums. Personally, I would have liked the guitars to sound a little dirtier. But could you imagine how some of the songs on War Party would have sounded with this production? Nothing's too dry, and the bass has a nice, twangy sound. Now, the final verdict on Carnival of Chaos. It used to be one of my favorite GWAR albums because of the variety it had. And there are a lot of high points, like the production's really good, and it has really punky 90s sounding songs on the album. But overall, the more I listen to it, the more bored I am of it. There's too much filler, most of the songs aren't long enough, the band sounds bored out of their minds, the album's too long, and GWAR just wasn't in the right place at the time of recording this. Still a decent album, but again, it's in the dark ages of GWAR. And then there's the infamous GWAR album, We Kill Everything. GWAR hates this album, and so do most of its fans. I do think that its hate is often undeserved because, honestly, there are good songs on the album. I do think the artwork really sucks, though. Okay, you have great artworks like Violence Has Arrived, Ragnarok, Scumdogs of the Universe, and then you sink so low as to do this? You could do this in Microsoft Paint. What the hell were you thinking? Anyway, the album starts off with the song Baby Raper. I love it. It's a really punky sounding song. It has the speed that Carnival of Chaos desperately needed, but it also unfortunately has the speed and intensity and energy that the rest of the album needed. You have great songs like Short History of the End of the World and Nitro Burn Funny Bong, and those are relatively energetic, but then you have other songs that kind of slack off and do whatever they want in whatever direction they want. Thankfully, it's a shorter album, so it's a little more enjoyable to listen to than Carnival of Chaos. But that's not to say that it doesn't have the same amount of filler as Carnival. You have horrible, horrible songs such as The Performer and The Master Has a Butt and Penile Drip. They're stupid and they're pointless and they have no reason to exist. Yeah, GWAR's increased cartooniness and comedic antics from Carnival of Chaos have carried their way over here. Only this time, they're a little more desperate. And then you have really annoying songs such as Escape from the Moose Lodge. And then there's Jiggle to Handle. GWAR has sunk so low that they are now singing about toilets. And the production is also really thin. Yeah, everything's mixed right, you can hear the bass, you can hear the guitars, you can hear the drums, but the guitars aren't loud enough, and, you know, nothing's distorted enough, nothing's whole enough, it sounds dry. No balls to be found on this album. And actually, this album sounds kind of dated because of the riffs and because of the production. Like, the guitar riffs just scream the 1990s. Now, it's important to note that Dave Rocky was doing the Dave Rocky Experience at the same time of doing this album. So his songwriting style was a little more comedic with his own project, and a lot of that spilled over to GWAR's We Kill Everything. Now, I will say that We Kill Everything is more enjoyable than Carnival, but only slightly. Thankfully, Corey Smoot would join the band after these two albums and make them more metal. Their sound was reinvented and their spirit was revived. But for these albums, listen to them, but only if you're not bored.